barn, and he noticed that for some reason, all his chicks were dying. He had to get a consultant to find out from him what he was doing wrong. And the consultant asked a simple question. He said, in what direction did you build your barn or the house for the chicken? When he told him, he said, wow, you built it in the wrong direction. The sun rises in the east, sets in west, so you should have moved it in a particular direction, whether it was east or west, whatever it was, but he gave him the correct direction where he should have built his barn in that story. And all of a sudden, all his chicks were no longer dying. Now, this meant that he had to disassemble or bring down the entire structure and raise up a new structure for his chicks. In prospecting, there are mistakes you make that you would have to start all over again to kind of correct them. And I'm going to walk you through in this video. My name is Yoro Gwigwe. I've trained over 24,000 salespeople across 5 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, USA, UAE, Rwanda. I'm an author of several books and resources on sales, and I've been featured on a lot of media platforms to talk about successful selling. I worked in an organization where I was given a target to prospect 20 high net worth individuals, and I was able to bring in 21 high net worth individuals in a single month. I also participated in a sales competition where I won, and I was sent for the World Cup for an all-expense paid trip. I moved to another organization where I doubled my portfolio by over 100% in just 11 months. I also run a company called Ultravantage, and we specialize in sales force management, managing sales teams to optimize and get great results for their organizations. This is the mistake 90% of salespeople make. 90%. And like I told you at the introduction, if this mistake is made, most times you realize that it would affect everything you've been doing for a long time, and you have to go back to the drawing board. And this mistake is failing to niche. Failing to niche. When I started out in sales, I used to come across this statement: identify your target audience, identify your target audience. But for some reason, it didn't make any sense to me, because I thought to myself, I want to reach out to more people. Why would you tell me to focus on a particular target audience? If I don't reach out to more people, how in the world am I going to prospect and prospect effectively? In fact, I run some programs and I tell salespeople, maybe they gather, maybe realtors or tech people, maybe people from different industries, and they gather and I tell them, identify your target audience, niche. And people say things like, no, I can't niche you because I go to different people all the time to sell to them. I'm not telling you to not sell to different people. This is what I'm telling you to do. There's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. That part of the brain is what helps you identify what's most important to you. The moment you decide, I want to focus on a particular target audience, something happens to you. All of a sudden, you experience what we call planned blindness. For example, if you want to buy a brand new car, a red Toyota Camry, everywhere you go, you start to see a red Toyota Camry. I'm sure you know what I'm saying. If you wanted to buy the latest iPhone or latest Samsung phone, everywhere you go, you start to see the ad. You start to see it on YouTube. You start to see it on the internet, on social media. You start to see people withholding the phone. Why? Not because of any reason, but because the reticular activating system, planned blindness, has happened. Every other thing that's not important to you, you have ignored. And you are able to see the thing that matters. So prospecting without niching is going to be great toil, because it means that you're not going to be able to have a clear target. Imagine if a shooter is given a bullseye, is given a particular image, and it is marked for him there. That's what he wants to shoot. That's what he's aiming at. That is like niche. It is a clear target. You know exactly what it is you're trying to hit. But if you take a gun and shoot at random, you may not really hit anything in particular. But when you focus with that lens, per time, you know you're going to hit something. And the Bible says if the eye is single, the whole body will be full of light. You'll be able to see clearly to get what you want to get done. Now, how do you niche? How do you niche? How do you niche? Because you see, if you don't know how to niche, in fact, maybe I should leave how you niche towards the end. Let me talk to you a little bit about some other benefits of niching that come to mind now. Another aspect of niching is the fact that sometimes I've talked about referral selling, and I talk about the fact that referral selling is a very effective way to be able to move quickly within a particular industry or within a particular space to get a lot of referrals. If I get on, yesterday I was on the phone with the MD, with the executive director of an insurance company, and I was asking him for a referral. It was so easy for him to just get me a referral of someone who was in the same industry like him. In fact, I said, sir, who comes to mind as I'm talking to you right now? Immediately, he gave me 2 or 3 people. Because in his mind, that's his industry. He's in the insurance industry. He knows people from other industries. He knows other executive directors. He knows other heads of departments in those industries. Now, I could do that because I'm not trying to show you that yesterday I was prospecting and I niched to the insurance space. Everybody I was engaging yesterday were the insurance people. So because of that, when I came across him, when I asked for referrals, it was faster for him to give me referrals. There are people who, when they go prospecting, they prospect across, not vertically. To prospect vertically means you choose a niche audience and you go down. You start from maybe the CEO to the directors, to the general managers, to the managers, to the heads of departments. You're going down the niche. So niches are not wide, but they are deep. And when you go down, you have a long list of potential buyers who you can speak the same language with them. They most likely will have the same needs. If not exactly the same, they will have similar needs or problems. If you understand the industry and you study the industry, you will be able to build rapport faster with them. It also would help establish you as an authority because it will give you visibility, right? It will establish you as an authority and help you for people to recognize that, wow, when it comes to this particular industry, this guy is an expert. When it comes to this particular space, this person is an expert. Imagine if you were talking to somebody in the insurance space. I'm just using insurance as the case study here. And I introduced yourself and you said, oh, I've worked with this number of insurance people. I've worked with this number of insurance companies. What happens? It gives you instant credibility. So failing to niche is a big problem. A lot of times you go for training programs and you notice that this person is not meeting up with their numbers. He's not being able to find enough prospects. And you ask, okay, you know what? Who are you focusing on right now? And the person says, I'm trying to sell to everybody. And I'm like, no. You can still sell to everybody and niche at the same time. How? Because if I decide I'm going to focus on insurance salespeople, like I said, I'm using insurance as a case study. I'm going to focus on insurance salespeople right now. At least, if not for the whole year or forever, at least for these first 3 months or for this month or for this week. Part-time, there should be a particular person you're focusing on. Part-time. Oh, I'm going to focus on this particular person right now or this particular industry or this particular target audience right now. Then you begin looking out for these people. You start to research about these particular people. You start to come up with a list of where you can find these people. As you go out and start to engage, you will come across other people. Prospect them as well. But the people you are looking out for, the people you are going for, you want them to be in a particular target audience. I remember somebody reached out to me many years ago, and he was selling a particular pest control service. And he had been having challenges trying to close. Part of what I told him, I'll never forget, it was so long ago. I said, choose a particular niche. And he said, okay. And what did he do? He decided to focus on, now, niches talk about, when we talk about niching, we're saying, where do your prospects gather? Where can you find them together? Where can you find them together? And he decided to go to estates. He said he was going to go to focus on estates in a particular area of Lagos. I think it was in Lekki area then. Wow, Lagos has really advanced. It was not, I think they're not like this then. I think it was, and we had so few estates, very few estates. We were going to focus on the Lekki area then. And with that, he was able to have the right conversation, be able to tell them, oh, I just came out of this estate right now. I did this for them. And I was past and realized we hadn't done this for your estate. So I just wanted to see if we could do the same fumigation or pest control service for your estate. He talks about how he was able to sell out using the simple principle of niching. Could it be that if your sales are not where you should be, you have tried everything you said you should try? Can you just try the one I'm telling you to do right now? When I started out, it didn't make any sense to me, like I told you earlier. It didn't make any sense. I just said to myself, I said, how can I choose a particular audience when I can sell to everybody? Until something happened to me one day and it dawned on me. I took a bold step and I said, I want to go into consulting, business consulting. And a mentor asked me, he says, well, what's going to be your area of focus? I didn't. I said, I want to do business consulting. What's my area of focus? I wasn't really clear. So one day I was at home and I said to myself, I said, you know what? Let me just, because I've done sales and I did well in sales, let me just focus on sales. That's how I started sales training. Let me just focus on sales for now. And when I decided to do that, something strange happened to me. I was watching TV one day and watching the news. While I was watching the news, I heard something about sales from the news. This was channels television. I heard something about sales. I said, what? I never heard sales on channels before. But for some reason, it looked like, because I noticed that because I had said to myself, I want to focus on sales, I started to see something on sales from channels television. One day I went prospecting and there were newspapers on the counter. This was the last straw for me that made me realize that this thing is so powerful. There were newspapers at the reception there. So I just picked up the paper. I just opened it. My eyes just went straight. Sales. As you can imagine how large and how small the text is of a newspaper. My eyes just went straight to sales. I said, what? That's when I realized that this thing is so powerful. Choose your target audience. Choose who you're going to be focusing on now. One of the EDs, or she was a general manager, not ED, she was a general manager, DGM, GM, one of those roles anyway. I think she was deputy general manager or assistant general manager going to deputy general manager or vice versa. So she was doing well in her sales, making a lot of money, meeting her budget. All of a sudden, she calls me and she says, Yuri, I have a problem. I've just been promoted. And when I got promoted, something happened. All the target was raised so high, such that my previous performance, I moved from somebody who was doing 90% of budget to somebody who was now doing below 50% of budget because of how high the target was raised. She said, what do I need to do to make more sales? I said, see how Nation solved this problem. I said, go to your existing clients, your database or Excel sheets, wherever you have all your prospects listed. I said, on that Excel sheet, please give me the top clients who give you the most amount of revenue. What industry is that? She says oil and gas. She checked it out. She says oil and gas. I said, okay, fantastic. I said, from now, see yourself as an oil and gas expert. You're going to be solving problems in the oil and gas space. And this is what you're going to do. When you get home every evening, I said, what kind of house do you have? She described it. I said, good. When you get home every evening, once you get home, turn on the TV and put it on the news. While you're preparing your kids for bed, doing whatever it is you need to do, all the oil and gas news for that day, it will come out of the TV to you. I said, when you get to the office, I said, do you have a PA? She said, yes. When you get to the office, tell your PA to bring you all the papers that day. I said, don't read them, just scan through. As you're scanning through, all the oil and gas news will stand out to you. Has it happened to you before that you read something today? Then the next day you went out to meet your prospects. And when you met the prospects, or you met somebody, you noticed that the conversation you had, you could make reference to what you read the day before. That's what was happening to her. As she was going in for her meetings to follow up her prospects, to engage her oil and gas clients, she noticed that when somebody says, oh, we're currently trying to have, there's a new policy we're trying to resolve, she says, oh, yes, she was able to contribute. She was able to provide solutions. She was able to give the right suggestions because she had been niching and focusing on that particular target audience. The most remarkable one for me was the fact that she also observed that her clients were in various categories in the oil and gas space. She had some in 3 buckets, category A, B, and C, based on their level of growth in the industry. Like category A is were the very established and senior ones. Category B in the mid-level, category C were like those who were trying to start out. So she could easily consult for B based on what she was learning from A, and consult for C based on what she was learning from B and A, and was able to give great advice. You see, the person who can give the best advice to the prospects is the person who wins. The person who can educate the prospect the most is the person who wins. Now, you can only educate if you are educated. Educated in that industry, educated in that niche or in that audience that you're trying to sell to. And this helped her transform her sales significantly. So how do you niche, ladies and gentlemen, before we go? What do you need to do to niche? There are several things you can do. Number one, check what course did you study in school. If the course you studied in school is something you want to niche on, that would be fantastic. So if you studied accounting, you studied HR, whatever it is you studied, you can decide to niche in a particular target audience and say to yourself, you know what, I want to come up with a prospect list. This is the second thing. You have to come up with a prospect list, right? I want to come up with a list of potential buyers in this particular industry that I studied. Now, if you don't choose, if number one, I said check the course you studied. If you don't want to go the study routes, course you studied, the second thing you can do is which industry interests you. Because if it interests you, you'll be able to go for information, you'll be able to study the subject, and look at how you can. It will be exciting enough for you on your own to just read up about that particular industry. So I said, number one, check the course you studied. Number two, check which industry you're probably interested in, and that will give you some direction, some guidance. The third thing you can also do is think, where do my prospects gather? Where can I find people together with similar commonality or similar interests? In different nations, there are different diaspora communities. Maybe like the Indian community, the Chinese community, the Black American community. It just depends on where you are. Look at those communities, and when you get one person, I remember when we go prospecting, I met some Hausa guys, right? So when I was talking to these men, I noticed that it's two scenarios. There were like 5 of them. I spoke to one. When I got him to key in, he said, when I got him to key into the account or the service we're trying to provide, immediately the remaining 5, they keyed in. It was just automatic. Another scenario, when I got in, and I said, wow, if I can get one to key in, the rest will key in. As I was talking to this guy, all of a sudden, one of the other people in the group came to join the conversation. And he said, no. Immediately, the guy I was talking to initially just said, no, it's no longer doing. And I went to meet the rest. He said, no, they're no longer doing. Just herd mentality. Just because one person has agreed, the rest agreed. The one person didn't agree, the rest didn't agree. That's how the herd mentality works. And that's how it works for most groups. Where do my prospects gather? At a point, several years ago, we're asking ourselves, where can we find people in bulk? That's another way of asking, where do my prospects gather? And we decided to go to hospitals to engage people in the antenatal ward for hospitals. So we're going around selling our services to the ladies in the antenatal ward. And of course, when you do those kind of things, you want to see how you can also be of help to them so that they can listen to you and give you the attention and you can be able to sell to them. So think, where do my prospects gather? Think from there, and you'll be amazed how prospecting will be sweeter, will be faster, you'll penetrate the market at a speedy rate, you'll be respected in the industry, and you'll be able to sell effectively. So when you move from these 3 points, you now want to move to this next point, which I said, get a list. Work with a list. Selling can be, you can determine the outcome of your sales. You can determine the outcome. If you want to sell, you don't have a prospect list, you don't have a CRM or any tool to document and make yourself organized, it's going to affect your results. So what you need to do is, based on this target audience, where do my prospects gather, come up with a list. Think on paper. Don't just think in your head, think on paper. When if the Bible says write the vision, make it plain, so that he that reads it will run with it. There is something about writing. God is wiser than us. He made us. He knows that there is something about a man and writing, or a woman and writing. So write down, where am I going to get my next prospects from? This particular target audience I'm focusing on right now. Come up with a list from there. You'll be amazed how it will open opportunities for you, open doors for you. Nature responds to hustle. The Bible says that God makes the sun to fall, or rain to fall, or the sun to shine on both on the righteous and the wicked. He helps everybody. These principles are universal principles. Once you come up with a list, nature will start to position you and bring opportunities for you and make it possible for you to get closer to your prospecting goals. But if you don't follow these principles and you want to work without principles, you will make the process slower and make the process longer. I want to thank you so much for listening today. Thank you so much. Remember that when you also niche, by the way, after drafting your prospect list, please don't forget, you want to check which product or service do you render that most likely this particular target audience will need. Most likely. zero in. Zero in on it and use that to engage when you're asking questions. Your testimonials must be ready as well. Do you have testimonials from people who have done business in that industry? Maybe from the first set of people who buy from you. You may not, maybe because you're just starting out to engage this particular target audience, you may not have testimonials. But who knows? You may have. There could be testimonials of your fellow colleagues, testimonials of people, other salespeople who have done this service before, you sold your particular product or service. Those testimonials, as long as they're in the same organization with you, take them and use them as yours and share them. If you share testimonials used by people in the same industry, there's nothing wrong. It will still give you, it's the right thing to do, and it will give you credibility. So if you are prospecting a particular industry and you're sharing testimonials of people in that particular industry, it helps to establish your credibility and helps you sell and make sales faster. Thank you for watching. Please share this video with others so you know have been making this mistake. They sell without niching. Or you know somebody who is not doing well in their sales and you're saying, see, listen to this guy, this may just be what's missing. Please share this video so that they can have the opportunity to listen and make these corrections and be able to excel in their sales. Remember to like this video. Remember to, if you have a sales team and you need us to work with your sales team, reach out to us. Our details are in the bottom of the description.